So at the time that we're having this conversation,
Mhm.
you are set to release your second album,
Correct.
which is called Threads of a Knowing, and it'll
Yes.
be out on April 14th through 20 Bucks Spin. When did you start working on this album?
Man, so I'm gonna have to throw this all the way back. Began writing the the second single, Abyssic Knowledge Bequeathed, back in 2014, and we ended up recording it on the Cyclical Descent of Causality demo that came out in 2015, and it was called Benighted by Malignant Sorrow. I got my copy right here. Basically, that's like the earliest song. Like, I wrote a lot of the riffs, and then like the other guys, it helped me kind of shape it. So I was, I was still finding my way with songwriting and everything. But when it came to LVX, like we had that track, Entropic Reflections Continuum. That track was written in like 2020, like 2019 and like 2020, basically. And everything else was 2020 and 21. So the rest of it's like pretty decent as far as like just writing everything. And you've listened to it, right?
Yeah. And I've got the previous album and the EP as well.
Oh, cool.
But from what you're telling me, it sounds like some of these songs actually predate the first album.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah. The new definitely does for many. Everything. It predates everything.
I mean, how would you compare it, even knowing that some of these songs are much older, but how would you compare this album to the first one?
I would say that the first album had a strong lineup, strong sound, and but the songwriting wasn't all there. Some things I admit were not complete. Solemn Reflection of the Void, we got to the end of the tour, and we had sat down in the studio, and Charlie and I just was like, "Hey, that sounds sick," and it was something that all of us had kind of worked on together, like just like individually. Everyone contributed at the time. That was Ian Mann, John Ryder, Charlie Corrin, and myself. And but we just, Charlie and I just drew something down, and it just didn't get fully fleshed out, and it starts out very strong. So my whole point is it feels like a rough draft. It feels like, hey, this is the time we had, and it mostly was strong, and then it's like it was just the time, and I feel like with Threads of Unknowing, it's far more realized. Like I actually knew like, oh, like specifics and like getting more depth with the songwriting, and this is only a draft for album 3, which I've already begun writing like months and months ago. But you know it's definitely an upgrade in most senses, but I still think there's a charm to that first full length.
Do you think this is a more fleshed out version of your style?
Yes, it's more coming. It's like basically found my style completely, and then now it's just a matter of how I can manipulate it to make it the best it can possibly be, which is not yet there, but I am, for the first time, somewhat proud of my own work. This, I think, is possibly one of my best works. So I would say, like, I feel success about it. Like, I don't care what anyone thinks. Like, it's like, yes, it's cool, but it's only the stepping stone for the third full length.
What's your favorite song on this album?
Easily Forlorn Portrait, no doubt.
Why that one?
There's so many like just grand moments of something so just kind of poignant, and just like just like the feel of it is all, it's so melancholic and triumphant, and it's a culmination of how I was feeling at the time when I finished writing it, and like the darkness of like my mind of that time. That's like, and this sort of helped me unleash that, and like kind of experience a catharsis to my own emotions, and just like just everything about it. Like towards the end, and I'm probably gonna butcher this as he always, we call each other G, but Gabriel of Cosmic Putrefaction, added synths and like stuff towards that part and kind of like a guitar swell, and it just sounds so beautiful and like fusion, like like straight up Alan Holdsworth. And the bass solo of Damon at the end, it's like just this really chill like bass chord feel, like, and it's beautiful to me, and it makes me reflect on my own life and my own band and creation. And it's basically brought me to tears in the past, after I heard it fully realized, and I would just say that song, I could listen to it and I can keep getting into it. And it's music I made for myself that I can listen to and be like, yeah, like I made this and I can listen to it. Like that's end of story,
Forlorn Portrait is the longest song that you've written for Void Ceremony. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's just a little bit over Empty Grand Majesty. Yeah, it's just a little bit longer.
Did you approach the song knowing that you wanted to write a longer song?
I just it's like weird. I didn't sit down and say, I'm going to make a long song today. It was more of I just kept feeling like this story doesn't end as I'm like writing certain riffs. It's like I want to keep pushing it. And I remember when Charlie and I started writing it together in March 2nd, 2021 or so, him and I started writing these riffs together, like and we just felt it. And just like I just remember, like, I have like a clip on my phone, my old phone, of us jamming it in this part, and I was like, yeah, like I knew that this was going to be an epic song, like even from just the first moments. And that's what sparked it, was this session that Charlie and I had, which was contrary to my normal songwriting process. In fact, this reminds me. So yeah.
You mentioned working with, is it Gabriella?
It's like Gabriel.
Gabriel from Cosmic Putrefaction, who worked as a producer on this album and mixed and mastered the album.
Yes.
Why Gabriel?
Well, he's someone that I admire as a musician. I'm a fan of his work and multiple of his bands. And he is a fan of VoidCeremony. And when we got in touch, I'd kind of already heard some stuff out there, Cosmic, and he like followed me on Instagram, and like I just made it in like 2020, and he was like, oh hey man, like this is some good stuff, like these compositions are crazy, and he told me he's like the orchestral composition major, and like like sound engineering, and like high pedigree, and like appreciates my stuff, and really fine ear for great music and great production. And naturally, knowing that he was just starting his work for, like, he's, gonna start having his own studio and stuff, I was like, man, like, yeah, let's do it. Like, let's work together. Like, let's make something. And, and it was special because it's someone who I could be in touch with, and someone who I could work with. And, there was a lot of Zoom where we got to all of us being like a mixing chat, and and there's a lot of fun that we had as well. So it was just a great experience working with him, and I would say it's easily been the best working with anyone.
Where did you actually record your tracks?
Where do I record?
Yeah, did you record your sessions with Gabriel?
Oh no, so that wasn't. So because he's working out of Italy, so I recorded up with Charlie in Oregon, and that's where he did his drums. I did my rhythms up there, and I did all my vocals and solos here at the local music shop. Recorded all my stuff there, and Phil tracked in Quebec, and Damon tracked in Australia, South Adelaide, or Adelaide, South Australia, whatever.
Yeah. So everyone kind of recorded remotely and then sent their parts to Gabriel.
Exactly.
What were you looking to Gabriel to bring to the sound of the album? I know you mentioned that he brought some synths and some vocal swells to the last song.
Basically, what he did was he brought like the perfect production. I trusted him to envision Void Ceremony with like the perfect production, which is like organic and and like just crisp and just very very old school. And I don't know, I feel like he balanced everything so well. It's like nothing is overwhelming and nothing is too little. Like for me, he nailed the sound, like, which is like hard to do when you're just like, oh hey, here's an email real quick. All right, hey man, good luck. I'm gonna mix your shit. And it's like, yeah, it sounds good. And yeah, all right. And then it's like, it's like, hey, do this different. You never know what you're gonna get. But with him, literally instantly, you're like, oh hey, let's make these adjustments. In like his first mix, everyone was kind of like, wow, like really like only like the most minor thing like that we can adjust and move on. Like it's not like a big back and forth. He instantly was like, boom, solid mixes instantly, and like most of the stuff was just like stuff actually in the end of it. Like he was the genius that we needed for, for this level of work, where it's, like almost fusion performances. I mean, it is fusion performances, but it's just everything is refined in sound that we needed someone who listened to fusion and someone who understood, and that is Gabriel.